All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Go through, first thing on the agenda is roll call and disclosure of conflict of interest. Just roll call, please.
Stuart Ward.
Present. I do need to recuse myself from public hearing item or agenda item number 4. And I'll step down from the panel and actually present on that one. And then agenda item number 5, I need to recuse myself as I have a business relationship on that project.
Chad Sullivan.
Present.
Barbara Hill. Present, nothing to disclose. And David Evans.
Present.
Okay. Agenda item number 2, agenda clarification and approval. Anything we need to clarify on the agenda?
Paul Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. Chairman, there is nothing to clarify, and I recommend you approve agenda as outlined.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion. Can these guys vote if they're not sworn in yet?
You can second.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, now we'll swear you guys in and you guys can actually do something. Okay, we'll swear in the new council members. Looks like David, you're first.
Okay.
Mr.
Crowder, if you'll come forward.
I saw him when I walked in. Okay, you're up.
All right, guys, if you come over here, we'll go ahead and swear you in. All right, raise your right hands. I state your name.
I, David Evans,
I, Chad Sullivan. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the constitutional laws of this state.
and the constitutional laws of this state,
And the Constitution and laws of this state. And that I will faithfully discharge.
and that I will faithfully discharge
Faithfully discharge. The duties of the office of.
the duties of the office of
The duties of the office of. Planning and Development Council Member.
Planning and Development Council Member,
Planning and Development Council Member. According to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities,
According to the best of my abilities. So help me God.
so help me God.
So help me God. Congratulations. I have some for you to sign.
Sounds good.
And you'll be all set.
So here you go.
And do you guys keep these or do I have to take this back?
I believe we keep them.
I think we keep them on file here.
You keep it here.
Yep, I believe so.
Okay. Great. Good to go.
Perfect.
I did freshen up on my parliamentary procedure, by the way.
Fairly relaxed. We actually use Robert's rules, so.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December 13th. And those are in the packet. Any corrections to the minutes, Barb? Or comments? Okay, I didn't see anything either. We have a motion to.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 13th, 2023.
Okay, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Now, go through public hearing. So, Barb, you gotta take over on these ones, if that's okay.
I will make a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, do we have a second?
Wait, a second. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so. Does she have the,
She does not have the rules.
do you want me to read them before?
Yes, please.
Okay. And then I'll outline you guys for a second and then I'll step down. Okay. Okay, public hearing procedure. So, the public hearing procedures are as follows. The presentation will be made by the applicant with a time limit of 6 minutes. So if one of you guys could time
Okay.
the applicant.
I could tell.
And then an explanation of the subject of the hearing is presented by planning and development staff with no time limit. And then testimony is given in favor of the proposal, then neutral on the proposal, and then against. Questioning of the participants and rebuttals are entertained by the Planning and Development Council. Testimony from the public is limited to 3 minutes. The applicant may rebut any arguments offered by the opposition. Planning and Development Council will then discuss the hearing subject. They may direct questions to the staff and the applicant and the audience during this stage of the public hearing process. The public hearing is then closed to oral testimony from the applicant and the audience, and the hearing process is concluded. The council accepts oral testimony and may accept limited written testimony from those in attendance, but only if the parties have filled out the testimony sign-in sheet. And I do have some here, but if anybody else is here for any other items, please fill out a sign-in sheet. If you've submitted written testimony as part of the packet, you cannot also give oral testimony unless it is to read the written testimony into the record. In order to keep a clear audio recording of the hearing, when testifying, a person must come to the podium and state his or her full name and address. Comments will not be accepted from the audience seats and discriminatory testimony shall not be permitted. There shall be no booing, hissing, or cheering. In addition, if you're here tonight and you're angry, that's okay, but please don't take your anger out on the council members. They are charged by law to keep a clear record of the proceedings, consider the factual testimony, and to uphold county and state rules and regulations. Thank you for the courtesy. Is there anybody that does not understand the procedures? Okay, perfect. Okay, so when we get to it, when we get to public testimony, these are people that signed up for item number 5.
Correct.
And it looks like they'll come up one at a time. They all wish to testify. So we just need to call their names when we get to that point.
Okay.
So, and then we got timer. You timing or you're timing?
I can tell.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna step down for a bit.
Does he need to officially turn the chairman over to Barb at this point?
No, it's not formal parliamentary, so we're good.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm good to go, right? It's kind of weird for me this way, so. Playing both sides of the table tonight. We'll see if I win. Okay. All right. Yes. I'm ready. Okay. Stuart Ward with Dioptra, 4880 Cloverdale in Chubbuck, representing the applicant, who is also here tonight. So if you have questions for him, he could answer any if you need to. But this is a commercial planned unit development on approximately 5 acres. 8 of the, let's see, 4, 8, yeah, 8 of, well, 9 technically, of the 10 lots are for proposed like shop office type buildings. One of them is currently built on lot 1. Lot 10 is an existing building that is like a transitional housing type thing. But this parcel is included in the large area that the city of Pocatello is looking to annex in probably in the next 9 to 12 months. And with that,
July 1st.
oh, like 3 weeks.
July 1st.
Okay. 3 weeks. Perfect. Because of that, we're proposing to build the road and all the other infrastructure to city standard, not county standard. So a 50-foot right-of-way instead of a 60-foot right-of-way. The city of Pocatello roadway with curb gutter, the pavement section, depths and all that stuff. All the design, the roadway design and everything will have to be reviewed not only by the county but also by the city. By going through the planned unit development process, those design deviations were presented as part of our pre-development meeting with the commissioners, and they were, my understanding is they were essentially approved during that meeting. So this application does not have any specific design deviations. But the developer is paying for all the infrastructure, so the road, the water, the sewer, all the utility extensions. And we are connecting to city water, city sewer. All the storm water is going to be retained on site. And Stan's Lane is extended all the way through the property to the northeasterly line, which allows further extension or connection to future roads as this area gets developed. We are proposing a temporary turnaround on that northeast end that will be constructed initially so that we have a good fire turnaround on the end until it's connected. There's an existing 60-foot access easement in the front that will be vacated, and a new public road right-of-way of 50 feet will be created there. The topography, it generally slopes kind of from east to west or north to south, however you want to look at it. And with the topography and the long skinny shape of this parcel, it's kind of the best layout of lots that we figured. And it's in a commercial general, well, it's in a mixed use zone, but designated as commercial general, and so this use fits, proposed use fits within that. So
2 minutes left.
I think that's all. That was all I had. I can answer any questions that you may have.
I don't think I have any at this time.
No, me neither. I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Or staff report first.
Hey, Barb, we need to go to staff report first before we open to public.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner. This proposed subdivision was reviewed by commission in March and with council. That was a joint meeting that took place. They did discuss If a variance was needed based on setbacks, design standards, commission really didn't have a whole lot of requirements for them to put into place. They chose to do a planned unit development because it is what gave them the greatest density to move forward and work with the concept that they were going forward with knowing it was going to be the city soon. This would match closer to what the city has going on in that area. There are 17 conditions that staff has recommended to be laid out for council to review. Part of those conditions are statements such as because it is multiple use and multiple use requires it to be placed, requires it to be designated to another zone. The designation would be commercial, so the plot would just need that note on it. We do have the agreement with the city for what is being proposed as lot 10 and lot 1. We don't have the agreement for the back half with the city, so that is something that as they move forward, they should be working on having that agreement with the city put into place and what their requirements will be. There are some requirements in there based on fire suppression measures with this connecting to the city. Typically those have fire hydrants opposed to a suppression tank. So the next stage should have some of those things ironed out. Does council have any questions for staff?
No questions from me.
If I recall reading through this, it was, when we turn it into a GC, it's supposed to be 5 acres minimum.
For commercial can go down to 1 acre, but because this is a planned unit development, they can get a greater density on that. You can get up to 7 times greater with a planned unit development.
Okay, maybe I
They're
misread.
also connecting to city services.
Okay. Yeah, no questions.
Okay. It is part of the annexation agreement. Currently, they're already connected to city services for what is parcel 1, which is the proposed lot 10 and lot 1. So that's the structures that are existing. They're connected to city services. So that agreement is already in place. The agreement that we do not have a copy of is what would be for the back half. So for the rest of those lots that are being proposed. I'm sure they've worked with the city enough to know that they're going to be connecting to city services. We would just need documentation of that for the next application. Yeah, and these conditions have been pointed out in the staff report. So number 10 does address this agreement with the city of Pocatello. Fire suppression is in there as well. That's item number 1. So I feel like everything's been written out by the staff. That is correct, Mark.
Small.
No. No. No.
Stewart Ward, 4880 Cloverdale in Chubbuck. Just to address a couple items, and we'll have to look at the annexation agreement, but our understanding was it was for the whole property, so we'll just have to look at that or coordinate that with the city. And then the fire suppression, and I thought it showed, but we are planning fire hydrants because we are putting, city water in there, so, actually, we do show one. There's one on South Fifth at Fifth and Stan's Way. It's really cluttered right there. And then we show a proposed one at the very east end of Stan's Way. And so we have an existing one, then we're showing a new one there. But, anyways, so I just wanted to address those two items, but I don't have anything else. So, thank you.
Real quick, Stuart, do you provide a stub to the adjacent property from the fire hydrant
To
eventually
east,
create a loop
we will, yes.
and a flush? Okay.
Yeah,
All
yep.
right.
I think
Yes.
so.
Really not very much, but I think Stuart mentioned that the roads will be built to Pocatello standards instead of the county standards because of the annex coming soon. Is that right? Yeah, okay. That was it for me.
Yeah, nothing for me.
I think that addresses everything, and just as you move on to the next one, just be aware, building the roads to city standards is not a design deviation. The road and bridge manual states that when you're in the ACI and connecting to city services, you can build it to city standards.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Not for me.
No, nothing for me.
No.
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 Yes.
Yes.
Nothing additional for me, I concur.
Yep, nothing to add. We covered that.
Repeat that for me, Barb, please. No, repeat your finding. Repeat the wording of your finding if you would, please. Okay, I'm good, thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, nothing additional for me on that.
Nothing to add. I thought that was, I don't know if we have to address that, but I thought it was discussed earlier on in it. I don't know if we need to include that on there. Don't know quite the process there.
It may just give clarity, Barb, to know that you addressed the easement that's already existing.
Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm good, Barb.
I have nothing to add with that.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay. Please.
I do not.
No, nothing to add here.
No.
Ken, you say page 13? And that's for the recommended staff recommendations that you're saying? Yeah, so number one, fire suppression requirements shall be resolved with the local fire jurisdiction before the preliminary plat application, and written requirements included in the application. Location of any required fire suppression must be depicted on all subsequent plats. Number two, a note to be placed on all subsequent plats stating all lots shall access the interior subdivision road. Number three, provide location of central mailboxes on the preliminary plat. Number four, provide location of school bus stop on the preliminary plat. 5, depict all current and proposed easements and right-of-ways located within the subdivision on all subsequent plats to include measurements and instrument numbers when available. 6, structures and setback measurements shall be depicted on preliminary plat only. 7, proposed road name to be placed on all subsequent plats. 8, road and utility easements shall be designed and constructed according to the highway standards and roadway development procedures for Bannock County. 9, utility easement shall be labeled as public utility easement. 10, provide development agreement with the city of Pocatello to connect the city services. Preliminary plat submittal. Instrument numbers must be referenced on the final plat. 11, include the proposed stormwater detention retention methods and measures with the calculations adequate for controlling post-development stormwater runoff on all preliminary plat construction plans. 12, landscape of stormwater ponds will be at the cost of the developer as part of the construction plans. 13, the proposed landscape plans to include location and type of landscaping material will be submitted with preliminary plat and construction plans. 14, all subsequent plats shall state all lots are currently zoned by Bannock County multiple use district and are redesigned for the commercial general district per Bannock County Zone Ordinance 1998-1 350. Number 15, plat shall state it is a planned unit development. 16, declaration statement for the city of Pocatello on final plat. And 17, plat shall state stormwater drainage swells shall not be filled. And that's the end.
Thanks.
I do not.
No, none for me.
Can I ask a question on the conditions, real quick?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay, Stuart Ward with Diopter 4880 Cloverdale. The only condition I had a question on is, because this is a commercial development, there's no need for a school bus drop-off. And so if we can strike that one, and then there's a couple other conditions that are required by Idaho code for plats, and one is like the road name, and I think there was another one, but specifically the school bus drop-off. We don't need one in a commercial development. If we could strike that, if that's possible.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'm good with that too.
What number is that?
She's a faster. Where's the motion? $111, is that what you said? 111.
Oh, cow.
Yeah, it was something. It was great reading.
Yeah.
Okay, so based on the record and the discussions this evening, I move to approve the request for Stan's Industrial Park concept plan as described in the application materials as supplemented with the additional information attached in the staff report and according to the testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair. Do I have a first?
Is that where we strike number 4 from there, right?
Need a second?
Need a second, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Do your conditions first before the second.
Yes.
So you're saying you just want me to, I approve the conditions except for excluding item 4?
Yes.
On page 13
And 14.
and 14? Do we have a second on that?
I'd be a second. Mhm.
She does. Chad Selenite,
Was I approve? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Okay, yeah.
Barbara Hill, David Evans.
I approve.
Yes.
Are you Brady?
I am.
Okay.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Brady Smith with the Viant here representing the applicant on this project this evening. As mentioned, this is an 8-lot proposed subdivision. I kind of want to jump back just for half a second and just give you a little bit of the history where we kind of started with this project and where we are now, so it kind of might help in some of the questions that may come up, and also just to kind of give you a brief history. So when we first looked at this project, we were looking at possibly doing a commercial subdivision and or a residential subdivision. That's kind of how we came to the pre-development meeting. And as things progressed, at that time we were told that we could probably do either or. It would just be kind of up to us to determine. If we went commercial, obviously we wouldn't have the open space requirement, and if we went residential, we would. So generally speaking, that was kind of the parameters that were laid out. And then as time progressed, I think there was some determinations made with on staff side of how that kind of determined that this would be designated for residential only. And so that's where we kind of switched gears and kind of came to this arrangement that you see before you tonight. So anyway, with that being said, we are trying to accomplish an open space subdivision. As you can see here, the kind of hatched areas would be what we are dedicating the 50% to. It's all contiguous and on one specific lot, so we believe that that meets the ordinance as laid out currently. As mentioned in the intro, the lots range, between, 0.6, I can't read that exactly, but, and the 1.07 acres that you see on the board there. One of the variances that staff has recommended that we ask for is that the lot up on the highway is less than 1 acre, but our deviation request there, or our variance request there is largely based on the fact we're just trying to get that quickly separated off as much as possible and still keep the buildings that are currently there, the infrastructure underground that's there, which is served by a septic system and a well currently. So it is less than the acre that's generally allowed if you're starting new, but we would like to ask that that be split off, and the subsequent area that's left is about 0.6 acres, but it's functioning. It's been used that way for who knows how long, but it can be parceled off, and no impact to that lot other than the approach that I think is in the conditions would need to be done to satisfy what it's currently been used as in the history. So the other couple of concerns that have came to light within the last 30 days as we've kind of been waiting for this meeting is that we've come to learn that community wells are not allowed currently. There's a moratorium that's been placed. I talked to the Department of Water Resources, and essentially it's just been extended and kind of redefined more stringently from like a 94 moratorium. So that kind of changed our position on our plan for the community wells because they're just frankly not allowed. So if we could do one, I think that would have been the preference, and then only have to dig one well. But being that it's not possible to do so without quite a bit of legwork to try to put together a defense why we could do one, and then who knows where that lands. It's just, it doesn't seem feasible for us at this time. So we've kind of pulled that idea back, and we are literally looking to just independently serve those wells with an independent septic system and a well for each lot. That typically is something that generates a lot of concern with the residents, and rightly so. But as we've, kind of traveled this path on other projects, we feel that we can, meet the standard that the health department and DEQ will require us to meet in order for those to be served. A lot of people don't realize potentially that there are advanced treatment systems out there currently that allow us to even treat the water even better than it's currently been treated on existing uses and new uses if the soil dictates that it needs it. So our commitment to the project is that we will, listen to the soils reports and all the things that are tested when those are done, and they're needed to be done. The Department of, or Idaho Health Department requires you to do test holes and make sure the soil is suitable, and then they will require certain recommendations if they see that it's something that needs advanced treatment. So I just want those in attendance to realize that we are mindful of the DEQ response and the health department's response, and that we don't plan to turn a blind eye to that. We want to try to make sure that it's amenable to what it needs to be. And I believe that our systems will meet or exceed, you know, what's currently in use today with a lot of the residents in the area.
You have 1 minute left.
And then I think the only other real big concern, I do have some questions in general about the conditions, but we can kind of go to those once they get listed if that's the way we want to go. And also I figure I'll need to probably come up and reply to some of the comments that will probably be received as we move forward. But in closing, there's a lot of concerns as I read through the information from the neighbors about the road and the access and the maintenance and those types of things. And the new owners are well aware of those concerns and have every intention to try to bring up the existing road to the same gravel standard that they proposed to do within the new section. What's going to be a little bit different because we've got a 50-foot right of way versus 60. But anyway, we'll listen to them, and I do have pretty good response, I think, for some of their concerns, but I will wait to see what they say, and then I'll kind of reply later. So that's everything I have right now. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Time. At this time, I don't.
No, me neither. Not at this time.
Thank you.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner. This subdivision, there were several conditions laid out on page 113 and 114 of the staff report. Condition number 20, since he is proposing private wells, could probably be taken off. The lot 8 is being proposed to be less than an acre. The zoning ordinance is what dictates that a minimum of 1 acre is required for residential dwelling. And so one of the conditions does state that they will need to increase that lot to 1 acre or have an approved variance by council moving forward to adjust that lot size.
What number was that one again?
That one stated number 6.
That's 12 on the lot 8.
Okay, so lot 6 is what's requiring the deviation.
No, lot 8.
Or number 6.
Number 6 is the staff, is the
Okay.
condition
Gotcha.
that states minimum 1 acre or a variance approved. They are proposing to come off of an existing private road that is named Dallas Road. They did request a design deviation to not bring that section of the road up to current standard, but build their subdivision road within the plat to current standard. Council has staff has looked at this, and we are recommending that they build the existing road to current standards, but at the width of 50 feet. It would be difficult for them to increase that to 60 feet. They'd have to go to neighbors and get additional easement through their place. Dallas Road is not an easement at this point. As far as ownership, the developer owns Dallas Road from a deed standpoint.
Okay, I'm following you.
Lot 8 is being proposed to access off of Yellowstone opposed to the interior subdivision road. So that also would be a design deviation, that it would have its own approach.
What number was that one? I'm sorry.
That's lot 8.
Number 10?
And number 10, yes, on the recommendations. It is an existing approach. They are already using it. I drove by, it appears to be a gravel approach meeting the road. So council may want to consider having them update that approach to match materials. If they did do that, they would have to pull another permit through ITD because they have jurisdiction over Yellowstone right there.
Can you scroll out and show me where that access is on Yellowstone?
It's all the way to the side merge.
That way.
So that approach is there, there's a home there along with some accessory structures. They're just going to parcel that off separate from the subdivision because the access is already in place, the structures are already in place.
Okay.
Does council have any other questions?
Somewhere,
Lot 8 would be part of the platted subdivision, that is correct, Barb. So it would be part of the platted subdivision, it would fall under any other requirements that were placed. It is in question of whether setbacks are met from the proposed line, so one of the conditions I put in there that they just have to provide proof that the setbacks are met from that proposed line to the structure.
I had a question on the access from the Yellowstone. I thought in the recommendation from the highway department, they advised against that.
So I did speak to ITD today. Where it is just one home coming off of that and it's an existing approach, they didn't see any concerns from the gentleman that I spoke to. They would have more concerns if the entire subdivision was coming off of Yellowstone. But in order for that to even happen, they would have to remove structures.
So in that initial report that came from them, maybe they were assuming the whole subdivision was accessing from there?
I believe that was their assumption.
Okay.
And there was a different plan drawn up that was submitted
I think
at
it had
pre-development.
13 lots, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
you're welcome. The other thing I should point out is the cul-de-sac looks like it's partly in the open space. Ordinance does not allow the roads to be in the open space, so one of the conditions is just to have that adjusted. The utility easement could be in the open space based on ordinance.
Okay. Nothing for me.
Yeah, nothing else from me.
These are all,
The other post.
yeah, these are all opposed. Yep, I'll just go in order here. Greg, I'm gonna botch your name. Zaccardi?
Yeah.
Come up and see here. We have
3 minutes.
3 minutes on for your proposal.
My name's Greg Sicardi and I live at 13908 North Dallas Drive. My first concern is everything sounds like it's a quagmire, they're changing it. I'd like to really know why the well system, now they're gonna punch individual wells, why a community well is not feasible. I don't know why that would be. And then the proposed road name on my application on this is Dallas Lane, actually it's Dallas Drive. As far as road maintenance, we've all done it, we've had the responsibility, and kind of what they're stating is they'd like us to maintain it and pave it. That's not gonna happen as far as we're concerned. I mean, it'd be in their best interest if they paved it. And, because we've taken care of graveling it, leveling it, taking care of the ruts, maintaining it to be a road that's a nice road to drive on or whatever, and grading it and keeping it. As So we kind of wish the council would look at that and, look at this concept. We spent a lot of time and our own money doing it to make it is what it is, but now it's under new ownership. We all had an agreement between all of us and took care of it, and it was our monies that made it the way it is. Now it's not our responsibility, actually, it's the owner's responsibility to take care of the road. In light of, I mean, that's partially, I mean, that's, comes a lot with what they really don't realize what's happening is during the winter, the snow is like when it snows at our place, 3 inches snowing through the evening with a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and ends up being like 2.5 to 3 feet in my driveway and on the road. So if these people in the subdivision are looking for a way out in the morning, unless the road's plowed, they're not getting out. That's just how it is. I don't know whether they knew this or not, they probably didn't, they haven't lived there. I've lived there since 2007. Mail delivery, that's another thing. Where would the mailboxes be? There's not really room at the head of Reservation Road where Mr. Ward's property's at. It would cause a lot of confusion, no room for mailboxes and parking to get your mail. I mean, this would, the road would also, I mean, coming out of there or whatever's gonna be a bear in the winter for the people that buy that lot, and they should be aware of what's happening to them when they come out of there. Whether we're all retired, our kids are gone, they might have kids, they've gotta catch the school bus, they gotta get out.
Yeah. You get, that's time, 3 minutes.
That's all I have. Are you cutting me off?
Yep. 3 minutes, yeah.
We got cut off, but we listened to about 45 minutes of something else.
Okay, next, well, actually, we just go to the next on the list. That Jerem?
Larry Zan.
Oh, Larry Zalm? You got 3 minutes, boss.
Larry Zam, I live 310, or 13810 Dallas at the end. When I bought the place, it was a private dead-end road, and I guess they didn't know more. I'm the one that does all the snow plowing, all the graveling, all the hauling, everything there. And since I don't own the road anymore, whoever owns it, I'm gonna start charging them. Normal fact. I spent a lot of time, like Greg says, on the snow plowing, the leveling, the backhoe work, the dump truck work. And we got a pretty nice road out there. And I don't really plan on keeping that up for another subdivision. I'm just gonna just keep using that same road, you know. And I'm kind of a little confused about coming off of Yellowstone to just one house and the rest of them shoot off of Dallas. For the whole subdivision goes up and down Dallas Road. Is there something there?
I'm just here to listen to your testimony for right now.
Okay. Well, it just don't seem right to have all this traffic up there when we bought the place, it was a private dead-end road. And now it turned into a subdivision. So we got all them cars going down there all night long, all day long. I think we had a little problem there. And they told me once that the old ward thing has to come down to make the easement big enough. Now they gotta do all that just for one house, or I'm confused on that part too. Anyway, my part's the road part. So who's gonna take care of that road next year? It's probably gonna be me. We're all retired, so it don't really matter. We all got along good, all four of us on that street. Plow when it needs plowed. We don't have to get up early in the morning to make sure the whole neighborhood can get out to the bus and everywhere else they gotta do, get to work. That's all I got to say.
Okay,
I'm done.
thank you, Larry. Next will be Kevin and Pam Ward.
Kevin Ward, 12805 West Reservation Road. Council Chairman and members, I have property on Dallas Drive. The proposed Dallas subdivision property had been owned by my family for 90 years. In 2021, I had Dave Class survey it, including access from Yellowstone Highway, ensuring there was substantial property available for a proper egress and ingress. Now I have concerns about the proposed impact on my neighborhood. Avoid building a new road. The developer plans to use Dallas Drive to access the subdivision and requests a variance to not upgrade this gravel road to the subdivision for many years. 4 families have hired our neighbor, Larry Zam, to maintain this road, which has worked well. Added traffic from 6 more homes will be detrimental. I ask the council to require the applicant and owner to upgrade and pave Dallas Drive to county standards, not Dallas Drive residents. I am especially concerned about water, irrigation, sewer, groundwater, drainage. Currently, BIA, Fort Hall Irrigation, has a ditch to carry water to reservation road users, which runs through the east end of the proposed subdivision. The ditch often leaks into the property, causing ponding and flooding. There are sub-holes on the western lots that are lower than in elevation. Also, adding 6 individual septic systems on lots from 0.61 to 1.10 acres in size may contaminate our wells. We feel perk tests for the septic systems by the Southeast Idaho Health District must be required before the lots are sold. Fearing the open space plans will change, I request the council impose deed restrictions to hold the open space in perpetuity by including a restriction that it cannot be sold separately from other parcels unless ownership is transferred to a public agency and ensures it is not privately developed in the future.
Okay, 25 seconds.
I urge you to not take any action until our concerns are addressed. Require the road owner and developer to pave Dallas Drive. Require the developer to build a new road from Yellowstone Highway. Require the lots be assessed for drainage before being sold and ensure the open space remains. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Kevin.
Any questions?
You can't ask.
You can't ask any, okay.
And then next on the list, Frank Nichols. Got 3 minutes, boss.
Yeah, I'm Frank Nichols, live at 13854 North Dallas Drive. When I bought the property, a plat was filed with the county. I assumed that county road or the road itself was approved and built to county standards at that time, or the bank would not have closed to sell me this property. That's the way I feel about it. I'm totally against this concept. This concept should take this road clear out to the main highway, Yellowstone Highway. It seems like a very hardship on 7 families. There's too many things involved to get these people proper access to live there without the main road going all the way through. When that occurs, there's 2 entrances, one off Yellowstone Highway and one off of Reservation Road. That makes that a through road. The fire department can now get in there and out. They can get into our road because the road turns at the end of my property and comes out here for proper access to agricultural ground. They can turn their truck around. They cannot turn a truck around in that cul-de-sac. My wife was on the North Bannock County Chair Board for 10 years. They were here every time complaining about cul-de-sacs. They can't turn their truck around. So that's a problem to me. If this road goes to Yellowstone, it supplies proper fire prevention. It also proper access to town and the highway. No matter whether it's private road or not, if these people want to take on this thing, we don't own the road no more, so we don't care. I don't think we need to pave it, as far as I'm concerned. So that's my feeling. I'm totally against this unless it goes clear to the highway. That's all there is to it. I think it's a travesty that they'd even think about doing this. I mean,
20 seconds, boss.
to build 7 homes, without proper access and proper ingress and egress, this is a joke. Whoever done that, the worst road design I've ever seen. I built 13 roads, the 15 goddamn towers, AT&T.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
I can guarantee it, it'll be a travesty to the lots and to the people.
Okay. That's the last of the sign-up sheets. Is there a time limit we give to Brady for responses?
3.
So,
3 minutes for all these now?
yeah, 3 minutes for all, or each one, or 3 minutes
3
for
minutes
each?
total.
Total? So 3 minutes.
All right, I'll try to be quick. So, first and foremost, those concerns are all something that we read through and we're aware of in the letters. I'll start with Mr. Zaccardi. Just to reiterate what I said in my presentation, maybe he wasn't listening, but the Department of Water Resources is who's controlling the moratorium. If we could do a community well system, we would. They are under this moratorium that does not allow community systems, and that is essentially why we cannot do a community well. So if regulations were to change or if something were to be different, that would certainly make the situation different. So that is why we were not allowed to do a community well. And that again was brought up in the last 30 days. We investigated that, and that is what we were told by the Department of Water Resources. There was a mention that the neighbors had asked these guys to do stuff. I don't believe that our clients have asked the neighbors to do anything. They're very aware that the road is going to be private. They're aware that they inherited a private road, that they bought that in conjunction with their piece. And I always find it interesting that every neighbor that sees a road plugged into an open piece of land is curious why it extends. You know, it's like there was obviously a plan for it, and it's stubbed in there at one point in time for that access to be there. So I think that kind of explains why the desire is to just extend that into the piece that it was intended to be serving from the beginning. So anyway, we are aware of the maintenance. It just so happens that one of the parts of the ownership group is a publicly licensed contractor, and I think he's well aware of how to build roads and maintain roads. So I think there's going to be an ability to have that taken care of. The accesses and granted rights and all those things as part of that easement, there was mention of the fact that it wasn't, that it was platted. That is incorrect. It was a record of survey, and as you guys well know, a record of survey is not as formal as a plat, but it is a means in which people, you know, are able to
Got a minute left.
secure a property and sell it therefore after the fact. So it wasn't an actual platted subdivision, it was a record of survey. The perk test that Mr. Mr. Ward mentioned, when he had, you know, Dave Klatt do the surveying initially, who did that, mentioned record survey. We're well aware that the perk tests will need to be required by the Department of Health. That's pretty standard practice for any septic systems that go in. So again, like I mentioned, if there is determined that the soil is not suitable for a traditional system, then there are advanced treatment options that we plan to do if that turns out to be the case based on soil tests. We can kind of go through these conditions maybe when you get
10
going
seconds.
through them. The emergency turnaround, just real quick, we're okay with it being split out. I think we have enough room within the lots that are there that we can get it out of the open space as the county would like.
It's 10.
But anyway, I'll just answer what I can if you have any questions, but that's not enough time, 3 minutes for rebutting 5 testimonies.
So on that turnaround, what do you propose, or what are your thoughts to get that out of the open space?
So we would just slide the whole bulb to the west out of that dividing north-south line that you see there depicted. I believe Elise mentioned that we could have the utility easement fall within that. So we'll make sure that at minimum that the right-of-way portion, or I guess the dedicated portion for the road, would be out of the open space, and then the easement potentially would protrude within that. But depending on the power company and the utility company's design, I doubt that it would be needed in there anyway.
I don't see a legend on here. West up, or show me west?
So west would be back towards the existing subdivision, so it's oriented north, south, east, west. So west would be back towards the left side of the page.
Okay.
That's gonna cut in.
So it would actually just shorten, we would just take that, you know, down the lane
You just
and move that
shrink
bulb.
everything
Yep.
back to the left.
And I've checked the intrusion and the acreage there in that it takes up, and we have enough room to still meet the 50% open space. We'll just have to shore up those lots a little bit further, and they'll all still be over an acre.
So currently, right now, Dallas Lane is 50 feet wide. The proposed new Dallas section would be 60.
That is correct.
So it'll widen back out?
Yes. And thankfully, and Kyle may be able to speak to this more appropriately, but the standards in which the developer would like to do, understanding, you know, the road that's existing may need a little bit of, I guess, opinion, or figure out what the desired effect and result is. But I believe the road section, even though the right-of-ways vary, would be the same. Is that correct? 20 feet and then 2-foot shoulders. So that's what we're aiming for. It's just you'll have more roadside swells in the new portion versus the old portion. That's really the only difference. The road itself will be the same.
Gotcha.
Less the pavement, I want to make that clear. The proposal currently before you is to just have a gravel top appropriate for emergency services, fire trucks, etc., buses, anything. And that turnaround, and again, Kyle can speak to this, this is within the road and county bridge specs. So I've been a part of a lot of roads over the years as well for 20 years, and I know that those work. That's why they're in the manual. We've tried alternative means, and Kyle can know this, we've tried other, you know, orientations, different configurations, and this is the one that the county prefers. So that's why we stayed with that configuration of circular turnaround. And it's far better currently than what they even have now. But, I mean, they say there's a turnaround, whatever, but it's not even designed to any specific standard, and that's what we're trying to do here.
How long is the current gravel section?
I don't have an answer for the exact length of the existing. Is that what you're asking?
Approximate, is it a quarter mile, is it?
I would put it at about a quarter mile. Yes.
Less.
In
When we first initially discussed this, that was kind of tossed around as an idea, and I will mention that the owners are here if you do want them to speak to some of that more appropriate financial obligation, maintenance and operations type stuff if you would like, but from what I know of those meetings, it really wasn't feasible to try to bring everything up to a road standard that would be acceptable to the county to take over, and so that's why we're working with the current proposal, which is bringing the road that we're doing new to the new standard and then improving the existing road to that connection to a county standard, but understanding that it would stay private, and that's possibly, you know, a lot to do with the owners as well as their desire to keep it private as well. That they don't want it to be a public right of way.
Yes, Barb, they'll bring it up to a gravel standard. That's what they'll need to do for the private road. If it was gonna be county maintained and taken over by the county, the last step would be paving.
That is correct. Yes.
For the original phases that are currently accessing the private lane, I did not see any. That doesn't mean there aren't any that don't exist. The new subdivision CCNRs, we usually see those be proposed at preliminary plat and maintenance and operation plans. Condition 18 has a statement that says open space is, and the applicant will need to determine whether they're doing a separate lot or a common own lot. And then says, and deed restricted against further development, but may be used for farming, timbering, wildlife preservation, or conservation per Bannock County Planning and Development Council.
And might I ask a question regarding that? I just had a question regarding that, Elise, because when we had talked in our preliminary discussions, there was discussion that the county was actually working on the ordinance for the open space, and that depending on the fallout of that, that things could change down the road. So we feel that adding a deed restriction right now with that being unknown kind of restricts them, and part of the promise to us is if we could get this, then if that became available later, then that would be a second phase essentially. So if we deed restrict it now, I would say that's fine if you know that that open space is absolutely not going to change in the future and it's going to stay the way it always is. You know, I just would like that to be considered. I'm not saying it needs to be stricken, but maybe reworded in a manner that supports what we were told in the upfront meetings with Hal and staff.
Condition 18 was written verbatim out of ordinance.
Current ordinance.
Current ordinance.
But
which
you
is
guys
what we're
have told
approving.
us that that ordinance is under review and being rewritten and may change. And if it is going to change, then I think that's locking us down right now. So if there's a way that we could look to work through that, we're open to suggestions or ideas, but I feel like if you deed restrict that, that's the opposite of what we were told might be our possible solutions down the road. Because if it changes, maybe in your ordinance, you're gonna have to say if something's been deed restricted, there's a way to reopen it up, or whatever. I just want that to be on the record.
In my opinion, if this is verbatim and until it's rewritten and approved and gone through that process, I would have to agree with 18. That's my take on that.
Okay, that's fine. Just know that we were told things at staff level that dictated some of these decisions.
Understand.
I wanted to ask you about the road again, so, just for clarification for me, so I'm with Barb on the private road situation. Someone will get burned at some point in time. Is that within our scope to say yea or nay? Not always, but just out of curiosity, so the developer owns the road, correct?
That's correct.
And there's no easements on the road for the current landowners or owners that live there. That's just their right of way to their house, right?
It's prescriptive easement, correct? It's legal easement to access their property. So it's called prescriptive.
Okay, so I'm just, cause I feel, once again with Barb on it. So let's say it goes to county standards, gravel county standards, they put a nice crown on it, and it's all good. Well, 4 winters down the road, it needs 20 loads of gravel down that thing. That's really not our job, but I just, out of curiosity, the clarification, and maybe it would help, with some of the residents, so.
So in one of the conditions, I believe it's number 21, they require us to provide a maintenance and operations plan with the preliminary plat. And so my suggestion, based on reading that comment, would be basically maybe that is taken a step further to an actual maintenance and operation agreement, potentially, where the conditions or the conditions of the road that it needs to be kept to are spelled out. And then the ownership would have a right to look at that and agree, to keep it to that standard. So I would assume that if that were to change hands down the road, that so would that maintenance and operations agreement. That would be on record, inherited as part of that.
Then I didn't see a maintenance and operation plan, so.
It's number 21.
Well, I see that, but do you have a maintenance and
We're
operation?
in concept.
Gotcha.
And so
concept.
they're asking for it.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
when we come before you again, we'll need to probably have a plan for that maintenance and operation.
Yep.
More specifically, Brady and Chad, my recommendation would be that the owner and the applicant have conversation about developing a road users agreement that's part of the O&M that then includes those 4 existing neighbors that are currently on the developed section of Dallas Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be the
So back when you said the owners and the applicant, what if they're the same?
You're the applicant,
Oh.
your owner's here.
Yeah, have a
and then
conversation.
You're talking about, okay, yeah. I'm
So
with you.
so that you're part of that conversation.
Oh, yeah, no, we'll have to definitely, and we did notice that and are aware of that in the conditions, that a plan needs to be put in place. And maybe that plan, when shared with the residents, may ease some of their concerns potentially. That would be the hope, is our goal is to not make it worse. If not anything, it would be better than what they're currently driving on now.
That was all I had. Thank you.
So back to go ahead, Barb.
That is correct.
So did the owner own the property from the existing road? Have they always owned it, or has it been a procured piece of, and did it come with an easement?
Yeah.
So did it just come with the standard prescriptive easement access to get to your property? So there was no purchased easement or anything to that extent?
It's, well, Kevin would, he's the one that would know.
There were separate transactions with the property, and then the road was with the property, but they were
Name and address, please.
Sorry.
Carrie Holm, 5335 Kimball, Chubbuck, Idaho. So actually, when we purchased the property, the road was included with it, but it was a separate transaction. So, because they're separately recorded, I'm assuming. So I'm not really sure.
You don't know what
exact
type of
details.
easement you actually
I
have.
don't. It just was.
But it's a recorded easement of some
It
sort.
is. Mhm.
I'd like to understand what that is.
It's on the,
Do you have
I
that?
think there's, even in the correspondence, there's a,
Filed on the original plat that I bought my property with.
it's not a plat, it's a record of
And
survey.
it says it belongs to Kevin.
Hold it down, guys.
So that's the legal description. It's kind of hard to read at 8.5 by 11, but
I tried to make sense of it, I couldn't see it very good.
it's, you can kind of see it's labeled 50 feet all the way to there.
Okay. And I saw that on the plot. I guess there's multiple different types of easements, and that's what I'm trying to understand is, for my clarity, what type this is.
So it is an access easement as depicted here is what it's referred to.
So this is an owned
It's
access
a
easement.
50-foot access easement. So my understanding would be not only to the existing residents, but also the parcel that's in question tonight.
Gotcha, I'm following you now. Okay.
And
Can I
like I
ask a
said,
question? I didn't get to speak, but nobody really brought up about the irrigation
Nope,
going through
nope.
that.
If you didn't sign up, you can't testify.
Okay.
And that was asked for clarity based upon the transaction of the owner, and we would ask Mr. Ward to come up and share with us that transaction. And for clarity, the property that was purchased, the property that was sold, and what was the intent of what is defined as Dallas Drive.
I'm Kevin Ward from 805 West Reservation Road. I developed those 4 lots some 35 years ago. At that time, a road, from what Mr. Shirtliff told us, the road had to be, in the county, had to be 50 foot wide. So we put a 50 foot wide road down there. And we subdivided it into 4 2-acre properties. And my intent was to always have that road go into that, to my existing property at the time, which Mr. Briscoe now owns. And he owns it, and when Dallas moved in and built a house there, his father-in-law, Mr. Bailey, was a county engineer, and he suggested to him that he put the road in his name. So they did, and I didn't know anything, I didn't know that took place. But the road was always to service that property. And we always felt like we would bring it up, pave it, and bring it up to county standards. Well, I got too old to do all this stuff. And so I sold it, and Mr. Briscoe owns it now, but it was always implied that those 4 lots was to be serviced by that 50-foot road down there. And the thing that the one thing I would like to ask you is, if that with a 50-foot road, can't that be brought up to a paved standard that the county would accept?
Yes, it could, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
The question to you and the other property owners is, why wasn't it brought up to standard before?
It was.
Yeah, just a second.
Mr. Nichols, any more, you'll be asked to leave. You heard the directions from Mr. Ward when he read them, and you will be asked to leave.
Okay.
Kevin, what I'm asking is, when you sold the property, you sold the remainder of what you had developed as well as the road, correct? Which Mr. Briscoe now owns.
Yes, he does own the road.
Okay. Has Mr. Briscoe denied any of these 4 people access to that road?
No.
And can he? No. Because
He
it's a
cannot.
prescriptive easement.
Okay.
So the question is, does it meet the current standard? Yes, it does. Okay?
Okay.
next question is, if they are allowed to develop this subdivision and they connect to a current gravel road, they meet the standard themselves, do they not? Which was allowed in the original four-plat subdivision. Correct.
Don't answer for me, sir. It was not. That road was to be there, and when it was to be developed, it would be paved. That's right.
So why wasn't it paved?
Because we had Mr. Zam there to take care of it for us, and we didn't want to put up the money to pave it. And we were very happy with the way it was. But to add 6 more residents there, with an average of 2 cars per residence, 12 cars going in and out of there on a gravel road that isn't maintained properly, isn't watered, you know, dust control, the whole 9 yards, you know, that's the thing. We have maintained it properly. We have hired Mr. Zam to haul the gravel, to grade it, to remove the snow for us. And now I feel that if they want to put 6 more lots in there, they should pave that road to there. I built the road.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions, gentlemen? Ma'am?
None from me.
None for me.
I just want to make clear one thing. That road can be brought up to county standards by being paved. The 60-foot thing can have a variance to where we can pave it and bring it up to county standards with the current 50-foot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Could I bring up another issue?
No, you had your opportunity to testify.
I'm sorry, I missed it. There's been 3 fires on that
Mr. Nichols.
lot
Mr.
7,
Nichols.
and the fire department has walked in every time in the last 3 months. Do I need to get a hold of them, have them call you?
Nope.
No.
No, no questions from me.
That is correct. I mentioned the one, and Elise, and I believe Mr. Commissioner Evans is in agreement with it being deed restricted, so we have our answer to that one. So yes.
Yep. Yeah, please.
So they requested 2 design deviations. One design deviation was to not bring the existing Dallas Road up to current standards. The second design deviation was to allow Lot 8 to access from its current approach off of Yellowstone, opposed from accessing from an interior subdivision road.
Okay. It was
The
on there.
less than an acre was a condition number 6 that said lot 8, all lots shall be a minimum of 1 acre or have an approved variance before preliminary plat. if they wanted it to be less than an acre.
For the lot number 8? Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
This is, something else there.
I didn't, what am I missing here?
So the first portion, they proposed not to bring it up to county standards, which is a 60-foot wide easement, correct?
So they're asking for a design deviation for it to be 50 feet wide, which is what it is. And to not have to bring it up to current standards as far as being built to current standards. When this road was built, it was built previous to the current policies in place by Road and Bridge.
Gotcha, I found there, number 8 and 9.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I've got nothing on that. Good. I don't have anything for that.
Review that one relative to private property rights, Barb. Repeat that if you would, please. Okay, thank you. Yes.
So Barb, just for clarity, there was a design deviation requested. The approach for lot 8 being not within the interior subdivision road, and the other request that they made was for the existing Dallas road to be 50 foot wide and not built to county standards.
Yes.
So you as council can approve some of the design deviation and not all of it. So if you wanted to approve the 50 foot wide, but have it still be built to county standard, you could do that. If you wanted them to have all of that met, you could do that.
So that was just for lot 8, which I did not have an issue with.
Me neither.
It's not an access to the full subdivision, it's just to lot 8.
Not an access to fire.
That it is a driveway that is accessing one single family residence. And the road manual talks about on the third residence accessing a road.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Correct, yes.
We had that deep fire in the fire truck, couldn't even get around.
For clarification,
Come off of Yellowstone.
quiet please. That can be, that's picked up in the background of the microphones, so when we have recordings that are transcribed, it makes it difficult for the transcriber to hear, please. The existing right-of-way or the existing easement is 50 feet wide. That is a legal non-conforming use. So a design deviation isn't necessarily requested for the 50 feet. The design deviation would be requested for improving or bringing up to standard the existing section of Dallas Drive. But I believe that Mr. Smith mentioned that they had had internal discussions with the owner about improving to a gravel standard the existing Dallas Drive. Is that correct, Brady?
That's correct.
Okay. So
So minus the 50 feet, the deviation is basically stricken or no longer?
The current ordinance says 60 feet is the requirement, so you would just make a statement there that you were approving the existing Dallas Road to 50 feet and the new proposed section within the plat would be 60 feet.
And then what about to county standards, the 50-foot section?
It would meet the requirements of the road and bridge manual, correct?
All of Dallas Drive.
Yeah, would be just 50 feet versus 60 feet. Gotcha. Okay.
It's already been noted, Barb.
Correct.
Correct.
So point of clarification, existing Dallas Drive is 50 feet wide. That is a legal non-conforming. It is not required to be widened to 60 feet. It is a legal non-conforming use. Okay? The new road standards say any new development will be 60 feet. We do not have the legal right to go back and widen to 60 feet, period.
Come on, I want
Okay.
to sell you that 10 feet.
Yep, gotcha.
Only new, etc. That is an undue burden placed upon a new property owner to go back and receive.
So that would be an undue.
Okay, that would be,
Yeah,
so it's not part of the equation. The only part of the design deviation for the existing Dallas Drive is to not improve. However, the applicant has stated that they wish to, or anticipate to, improve Dallas Drive.
Bring it to county standards.
And bring it to county standards.
And keep it to 50.
Gravel.
Yeah.
To gravel standards.
County
Okay?
standards, yeah.
Which is a county standard. That's not a design deviation. That is a county standard that is accepted for a private road.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay?
Will the county plow it then?
No.
The design deviation that for all intents and purposes, based upon what the applicant has stated, is that they are asking for a design deviation to allow lot number 8 not to access off of the new developed road, but from existing Yellowstone Avenue.
Okay.
That is,
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Private driveway.
so an item, Barb, an item to consider. If the roadway went all the way through to Yellowstone, okay, let's assume that it does, okay? However, that then takes and splits the open space lot into 2 separate halves on each side of the road, which is not allowed by the ordinance. Okay? Open space has to be a lot, of which this development has done that. If they tried to connect lot 8 to the subdivision road to the west, it would be an undue hardship, not feasible. It would make the violation of open space, etc. You can't have one without the other. So they've done the best, they've approached it the best that they possibly can to comply with the ordinance.
And it, in addition to that, they would be required to remove structures because there is not enough width between structures and their lot line to bring a road through that lot 8.
Correct.
And access guidelines on those.
Make it on the side of that.
Correct, yeah.
Carrie?
Yeah, that's correct. I agree with that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. Wood dog, yeah. Correct, off of Yellowstone Highway. Yeah, I'm ready, whenever.
Wait, I'm still
Oh,
typing.
That's who you're talking to.
Barb, do me a favor, let's go back up to number 2, if you would, please. Please.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, and then jump to number 3, just below it, if you would, and just review that one last time with me. The literal interpretation and enforcement of the regulation would deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by the owners of other properties. Okay, thank you. Okay. Item 3.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Item 4.
That is correct, number 4.
Okay.
I think that's correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that criteria's been met.
Yeah, likewise, I agree.
Okay.
I'll go through them here. Let's go get back to them. That's these, 22 of them here.
Yeah, the recommendation on
Yeah.
page 1 of 10.
Okay, fire suppression requirements, that's number 1. Fire suppression requirements shall be resolved with the local fire jurisdiction before the preliminary plat application and written requirements included in application. Location of any required fire suppression must be depicted on all subsequent plats. Number 2, provide location of central mailboxes on the preliminary plat. Number 3, provide location of school bus stop on the preliminary plat. Number 4, depict all current and proposed easements and rights of ways located within the subdivision on all subsequent plats to include measurements and instrument numbers when available. Number 5, all structures must meet setback requirements of Bannock County zoning ordinance 337 or meet approved variance requirements to the proposed lot lines. Structures and setback measurements shall be depicted on preliminary plat only. Number 6, all lots shall be a minimum of 1 acre or have an approved variance before preliminary plat. Number 7, a different proposed road name to be present to council within the preliminary plat. Number 8, Dallas Road outside of the subdivision may be 50 feet wide and shall be built to current Bannock County highway standards and roadway development procedures. Number 9, The interior subdivision road shall be 60 foot wide at all points and shall be built to current Bannock County highway standards and roadway development procedures. Number 10, Lot 8 may access directly from Yellowstone Highway. Number 11, a note to be placed on all subsequent plats stating lots 1 through 7 shall access interior subdivision road, and lot 8 shall access from Yellowstone Highway. Number 12, the approach for lot 8 shall be built to current county standards. Number 13, include the proposed stormwater retention methods and measures with calculations adequate for controlling post-development stormwater runoff on the preliminary plat and construction plans. Number 14, all subsequent plats shall state, all lots are currently zoned in the Bannock County Multiple Use District and are redesignated to the Residential Suburban District per Bannock County zoning ordinance. Number 15, 15-foot utility easement must be outside of the right-of-way along all sides of the right-of-way and must be labeled public utility easement. Number 16, open space to be removed from right-of-way and access easement. Number 17, written authorization from Fort Hall Irrigation that canal may be crossed. Number 18, all subsequent plats shall state open space is a separate lot or common owned lot and deed restricted against further development, but may be used for farming, timbering, wildlife preservation, or conservation per Bannock County Planning and Development Council. Number 19, provide all lot measures on all subsequent plats. Number 20 has changed. So do we, because that's the one with the well.
That's the one with the community well, and they are no longer proposing that, so that is not
So
needed.
we'll just skip 20, right?
Correct.
Strike it.
Okay, number 21, maintenance and operation plan for all of Dallas Lane to be provided on the preliminary plat application. Number 22, written authorization from IDT for single approach off of Yellowstone Highway to be provided on the preliminary plat application. I didn't think there was a condition. I thought it addressed it, at least with me. I had,
Everything's been addressed.
yeah.
No, not at this time. I'm right there with you, Barb. I don't like private roads. We see the problems that they create every day, but we don't have anything in there requiring them to bring it up to that. If this would have been a new road accessing reservation and that being a collector road, they would have had to, but it's already an existing road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you make it? Where is the motion? Okay, I first that.
Wait a second.
Oh, yeah, second it, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
Barbara Hill. Chad Selenite
Yes,
and David Evans.
Yes.
Done deal.
Or we need a motion to close the public hearing items.
I motion to close. Yeah, I second. Yeah, I second that. Aye.
aye.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Come with the proposal that
we back? We're back? Okay. I lost my agenda. There we go. Okay. Item 6. Item 6 is just a business item. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. Preliminary plat approval for Marshall Field subdivision. Nate Reeve requests preliminary plat approval for tax parcel RPR 422-302-8105 in accordance with procedures and standards established in the subdivision and zoning ordinances. Okay, we'll just go through this. Do we normally have a presentation by applicant though too? But we can still do it without the applicant here? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll turn it over to staff then.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner. The applicant was unable to make it this evening with it being a business item and no public comments. They were okay with proceeding with this item being heard by council. The only condition from concept that I saw was not met was the fire district providing comments as far as fire suppression measures. They did provide comments as far as the ingress and egress. The applicant stated they would work on getting those comments from the fire district if they could receive those. At pre-development, fire district did provide some comments that they did want some fire tanks, but there has been no further comments since then.
Okay, is that's still a condition? Oh yeah, number 8 right there. Okay. Okay, I had a couple questions, but and maybe I'm gonna ask them, and so if you have the answer, great, if they were specifically for the applicant, but I just wanted to, there was a comment, I think it was on concept, maybe it was a condition on concept, about the roads, or there's confusion whether the road is public or private, because it doesn't state on the preliminary plat that which way it's going. Do you know, is there intent to go public?
I'm trying to recall that conversation. I don't remember the intent on that one.
Okay. Okay.
I believe they're going to pave it because there was conversation about the easement for the cul-de-sac turnaround, the easement part being gravelled where the rest of it being paved, if my memory serves me correct.
I thought I'd read that they were gonna prepare for Bannock County to take over somewhere through here. I couldn't tell you what page or where it was at.
It's hard to read. If you would go to page 261. In the upper left-hand corner. Can you read that?
The standard.
Stuart, on that standard. Kyle is on your standard. I'm waiting for my, it says C note,
Say top left.
yeah, I was just wondering if in that particular profile, if it notes that.
That's not where I saw it. I thought it.
You know, it says surfacing C road structure schedule, and then a compacted gravel shoulder. Do you know, Kyle, based upon that section, because that comes right out of your manual, if that is a typical paved profile?
I was trying to find it.
It says for local roads.
I think it is. It is the typical section for a paved road, but like the previous application, they can pave a private road still, and that's the question is.
If you go to item D, note D on there, and you go to minimum thickness of road section, etc., it calls for 3 inches. The footnote D takes you to, for local roads, average daily trips less than or equal to 250. The thickness may be reduced to 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, just an FYI, that they're anticipating to pave.
Okay. And seeing that on there, I assumed the same thing. I just, my only question is, who's going to maintain the road in the future? Because one of the conditions is an operation and maintenance plan of the roads until they're accepted by the county for maintenance, but there's nothing that's set in the application that says if they actually, that's their intent. So that was my question.
And then the other item to flesh out the issue of asphalt, their stormwater calculations are based upon paved area square footages and not gravel.
Okay. Okay.
The marshals,
Or Marshalls, yes.
yeah, they're gonna have the county take it over.
So their intent is to go public then? Okay. Okay. Another question I had was, there's a statement that there's no irrigation rights being given to the lots. Is there irrigation rights on the property? And who's gonna keep them?
I believe there is irrigation rights on the property. I did not see anything on the plat or the application that addressed it, other than the CCNRs talked about if they had irrigation rights. So I'm assuming that is a negotiation of sell on who does and does not get
There's a canal.
irrigation rights.
A canal on the east side, it borders the east side lots that are proposed.
I don't know his number of shares, whether there's enough for each lot.
I guess my only concern there is, like, say, lot 1, I'm assuming that's block 1, where Marshall's kind of turns.
Yeah.
If they want irrigation, how are they getting water? There's no infrastructure shown on how they're gonna get water. So the assumption is that none of them are gonna get it, but if there is rights, where are those rights going? Are they just staying in the open space, or are they gonna give them back to the canal company? But if their intent is to be a lot by lot basis, then they still have to have the infrastructure to provide it if they decide. So that was my question.
Okay, a condition could be created addressing that.
Okay. Then the only other thing I saw was, I think, if I remember right, it was a condition on concept that the temporary turnaround still had to be the 60 feet instead of the 55 feet.
That is correct, and I put condition number 5 addressing, or number 9, sorry, addressing that it be increased to 60 feet.
Okay, I read over that one. Okay. Okay. I think I had one more, but I didn't write it where I'll find it easily, so hang on. Maybe. Okay. So one last question, because I wasn't present at the concept hearing, so Barb, maybe you'll have to help me with this, but how did they get away with splitting the open space into 2 lots?
That was something that was discussed based on the lay of the land and the fact that they wanted to design the road so it did do a full loop going out. So if there was a fire on one side, there was still a way to get out of there. They don't have any adjacent neighbors with subdivisions, so having the ability for that to extend to another subdivision would not give them the ingress egress, and they've already sold those front parcels, and that is not part of the subdivision. They could not have that ingress and egress there either. There is a lot of lava rock through this piece, And so they have covered a majority of the less developable area with the lava rock.
So are we concerned that this is gonna potentially set a precedence? That, for example, the previous agenda item, they potentially could have proposed something like this and split their open space and referred back to this subdivision. Well, you allowed it there, why won't you let us do it? Or is staff concerned about that? Because from the opposite side, I would honestly try to do that. But if I understand that right, Barb, is they had to have the application in by a certain date, and I don't, and I could be wrong, but the pre-development had to be submitted by a certain date, right?
That's correct, and I do not remember when their pre-development took place. But it could have been based on timing, been within that time frame that.
But wasn't that a 2022 date?
It was a 2022 date, but he has been working on this for a while.
Has he? Okay.
Yes.
The other item to consider is that in the proposal, they spent a fair amount of time with their design engineer on site relative to survey, and they scoped out the land that had the least amount of lava rock and lava rift and tried to maximize what had the most cover over the lava rock for development sites. And they came to staff and they came to meeting with that as a preparation, asking for the road to continue through and make a loop so that they could develop the most easily constructible ground on the property. Because the remainder of what you see there, Stuart, you would never be able to put a house anywhere else on that 40 acres.
So was it, and maybe it wasn't considered this, but was it considered a design deviation or variance to be able to do the two lots? Because if that was the case, then I have no problem with it, but.
I don't believe it was a design deviation.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think it was a design deviation. I think it was open to an interpretation, and
Gotcha.
Staff allowed it to move forward as they proposed.
Okay. Okay. Those were my only questions. I have some additional verbiage on some of the recommended conditions, but that was my only questions. So, okay.
So under that, Barb, the gentleman that came from the canal company wanted to guarantee, a guarantee that they had access to their ditch that runs across the corner of the property. And so you'll see that there was the easement that was placed between
11 and 12, is that where it is?
Yes, placed between lots 11 and 12, so that the ditch company had access to the ditch for maintenance. And that was that's what he testified, is that he wanted to make sure there was an access easement on the property for them to maintain the ditch.
So, do you know, is that 30 foot part of the open space lot? Do you know?
It is part of the open space lot, yes.
Okay, but that 30 foot by 290 feet would be an access easement for the
It's part of
irrigation
lot
company.
24, and that is the intent, is for access.
So they would need to identify that as an access easement for the canal company.
Correct.
So that might be another condition.
Marge, can you scroll up so that we can see the upper part of the page above Harris Loop? So the other item, Stuart, to bring you up to snuff with the rest of this, the road that extends, which would be Marshall's Way, directly, so the top side of the page is actually east on this layout. Originally, that I don't believe existed, and that was one of the items that we placed because they needed to show that they would connect for future development to adjoining properties. And the property owner to the direct east testified at the meeting, "Over my dead body will this ever be developed?" So, anyway,
Okay.
they conform, they met all of the requirements and all of the other items that were requested of them for the most part. They've done a fairly good job of trying to incorporate items that have come about in their respective reviews and their meetings.
Okay.
But the comment about making sure it's noted on the drawing for access easement for the canal company, as well as the other items that you've noted are correct. For the record, we have a difficult time receiving information internally here from the fire districts, and it is equally difficult for applicants to get, shall we say, timely responses.
From that fire district?
So we'll just continue to keep that condition in place, having them work with the fire district to find out what requirements they want for a potential fire tank, connections, etc. Maintenance agreement on who fills the tank, who maintains the tank, as well as the, etc.
Okay.
Okay? That's not uncommon on the south end. They do a good job. They're just all volunteer, and they are very, very, just like most of us, they're spread pretty thin, and in the light of the fact that it's a volunteer, sometimes they don't get to it as quick as we would like them to, but they do a good job for us.
Council Road and Bridge does have a few comments just based off of some of the notes on the preliminary plat that were not addressed in the staff report as well.
Please tell us, Kyle, what are your concerns?
And you've seen some of these developments, but on the notes, number 10, all stormwater drainage generated within the development property will be contained in the roadside swales. So my problem with that is it's all drainage from the developed property, like you're saying that these swales are gonna take every bit of drainage for the whole property.
Right.
That just doesn't happen. I mean, we have some subdivision that says that property owner's stormwater will be in that swale, but not the whole. So that just is a little confusing to me.
I thought I just read something about individual stormwaters would have to be
Number 9.
Retained on site.
retained on site, which I thought would be in the individual lot, not the
Correct.
full division, right?
Correct.
Well, number 9 says all stormwater drainage generated on the public right-of-way, which would be the road, will be the responsibility of the adjacent landowner.
And I agree
And then-
with that. I just didn't
And then number
understand.
10 says all stormwater will go to the swales and then to the retention basin. And if that's the case, then I think I understand your concern, is basically all these lots are gonna drain to the road and then to a basin, and that basin's definitely not big enough for this
You
development.
to convey it all to one,
And,
That's also a violation of our stormwater
right,
ordinance.
and so
Swales are intended for right-of-way retention.
right,
All other stormwater is required to be retained on-site of the property owner.
correct, yeah. So because that's in the county ordinance, we don't necessarily need to address it in this, because we just have to look at you would have to review the construction plans to see what.
that's what I was asking Elise, if it, probably not the time, but just to bring it up a little bit, that sometimes we get that a little confusing in there, and we'll have to work on the other ones, but straighten that out.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and this is on a big giant basalt flat, which, yeah, we're not here to advise the customer by any means, or the owner, but that's pretty heavy feat to develop a drainage through basalt rock, along with the septic. I don't know how, I mean, the basalt rock out there is pretty well surface, right? And so, we have special requirements, I assume, if you can't go so deep. And I haven't looked this up, but you have to put in some sort of sand mound, you might probably know this better than anyone.
Yeah, the health department there's options of doing a septic in basalt, and it's one of the advanced systems that are available because of the type of soil, type of rock that's out there.
Whatever the base is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. Drilling wells through all this.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't know, looking at it from an outside standpoint, if we were to approve this, how successful, what's the success rate of this coming to fruition?
That's some of my concern too. I mean, you're talking $100,000 well. That's not our job to.
But that's for each lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so either way, that's just something kind of popping in my head, so, but.
Yeah, and you're right, the water and the sewer are not part of our jurisdiction. But as long as the developer understands when he sells those, or the buyer, I guess, understands what that cost is, then that's kind of on them.
Could you explain to me, because I saw in here the HOA requirements, and what is different versus HOA requirements to what the county has?
So HOA requirements are civil. The county does not enforce those. Anything on the plat would be what the county enforces.
Gotcha. Because when houses are built, and what if they have their pages of restrictions and covenants, and that has nothing to do with the county, that's with the HOA?
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, the county will control like setbacks and that kind of stuff, but
the
size of the home
the
and all that
planning and
stuff.
development of it, and then after that,
Yep.
and if the road's taken over by the county, then the county will.
Yeah,
maintain the road.
this is instead of an easement, this is gonna be a right of way.
Yeah.
This is taken over by the county.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, okay.
So who develops, and I apologize, I'm still learning here, who develops all the recommendations that we look at on that first page? Is that what
Staff.
comes through you guys? Gotcha.
And this one
If you
was one of
go,
them
if you
ones.
go to the end of that staff report, it'll tell you who actually did them.
Oh, okay.
And in light of the fact that Elise is the planner over subdivision, she does all of them.
So, okay. And you guys have any other questions?
No.
Barb, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, I just needed some clarification on a few things, so I think I'm good. If you guys are good to go through findings. Okay. Okay. You ready, Hal?
Yes.
Okay.
What page is findings on again?
It's on 280,
47.
286.
Or no.
286.
Yeah.
Yes. I scrolled back up. Sorry, Dave.
You're good. Okay. Okay. Number one, the preliminary plat is in conformance with the Bannock County Planning and Development Council's approved concept plan, all applicable provisions of the Bannock County ordinance, subdivision ordinance, and other county codes and ordinances and Idaho code.
It is.
I think that's based on the application and I think I noted that there was no changes on like access point or anything like that from the concept. So it's essentially the exact same thing that was seen at concept, is the way I understand it. Number two, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit its development in accordance with the Bannock County subdivision ordinance.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to read the whole thing. And that is the street plan will permit its development. Yeah. The street plan will permit its development in accordance with Bannock County subdivision ordinance. I don't know why that reads weird to me for some reason all of a sudden, but I think they propose to follow the Bannock County, what is it called, the road, the HSRDP standards. I'm just gonna call it that. I don't know what it's called.
Just say Bannock County road standards.
Yeah. They propose to follow Bannock County road standards, and
also they have to follow that because they are coming off of a collector road, so they don't have a choice. They have to pave it and give it, or dedicate it to the county.
Ah, good question, good. I didn't even think about the classification of that road, so it has to be public because of that. Okay. Okay.
The access is from what type of road, Kyle?
From a major collector.
Major? Tell me when you're ready, Hal.
I'm just checking my spelling. I was looking like yeah, wasn't making sense, but it does now. I'm good.
Okay. Number three, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit the development of adjoining land by providing access to that land by right-of-way dedicated to the county or a developed street to the property boundary. Which we have Marshall's Way that dead ends to the east boundary line as a dedicated county road, public road, with a temporary turnaround. Oh, come on. We just don't have anything to the west, but I guess that's okay.
It drops off a bluff pretty quick here.
Is that where the bluff is right there?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was further down.
No, it's not, probably not enough for development, honestly. I think a lot of rock gets worse right through there.
Oh,
And then it drops off down to the Marsh Creek.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, item number 4.
Okay, number 4, lot lines and roads do relate to land shapes and existing development. Due to the topography and geologic characteristic, I was gonna say geographic, but it's geologic characteristics of the site. I think the lots and roads are laid out in a reasonable manner, and there's no adjoining developments that we're trying to match or anything like that, so. Okay, and then conditions. Oh, I did have one question on condition number 6. Says open space shall be hatched on the plat and the legend updated. Are you wanting that on final plat?
It makes it consistent with other plats to
Okay.
easily locate where the open space is.
Okay, so I guess my only clarification there is maybe just saying on the final plat.
That's the
I guess it
only thing we
doesn't
have
matter, it's the
left.
only, yeah. Okay. Okay, and then I just have some wordsmithing on a couple others, if that's okay with staff. Okay, we'll read through the conditions. Number 1, maintenance and operation plan shall address who is responsible for the maintenance of the right-of-way of roads until accepted by the county for maintenance. Number 2, maintenance and operation plan for the community mailboxes shall address who is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep. Maintenance and operation plan for any required fire suppression shall address who is responsible for maintenance and upkeep. Number 4, the maintenance and operation plan shall be recorded and be noted by instrument number on the final plat. I had to add that word. Number 5, note 12 shall be removed. Oh, note 12 on their thing?
On their
There.
preliminary plat.
Okay. Note 12 shall be removed. A note shall be placed on the final plat stating lot 23 and lot 24 are. Can I change that to be, oh, no, never mind. Are a separate lot per Bannock County Ordinance, Subdivision Ordinance 1997-4, Section 401C 3B. Open space is deed restricted against further development, but it can be farmed or timbered, etc. Number 6, open space shall be hatched on the plat and the legend updated. Number 7, plat shall state the R, quote unquote R, is restricted to preserve natural drainage, wetlands, and updated in the legend. Number 8, fire suppression requirements shall be resolved with the local fire jurisdiction, McCammon Fire District, and location of all required tanks must be placed on the plat. Fire suppression measures shall not be located in open space. Staff will review whether fire suppression requirements have been met. Number 9, cul-de-sacs shall be no less than 60-foot radius. This was another one I wordsmith, but I don't know if I need to. Temporary cul-de-sac turnaround will be constructed as part of the development. And I'm just gonna clarify, at the east end of Marshall's Way. At the time which Marshall's Way is extended or connected to another road, the temporary cul-de-sac easement will be vacated by appropriate means. If that helps. And then adding condition number 11, provide an access easement for the canal company. And I don't know how to word this last one, but number 12, provide, I have it written, provide documentation addressing irrigation rights. And maybe that's, are they surface irrigation rights? Is that how it's worded? Yeah, surface irrigation rights. Is that good with all you guys?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You wanna add anything, change anything?
No.
Okay. That's the conditions. I think we're ready. I think we're ready for a motion, yep.
I second.
No, we didn't remove one, we just added two more. Okay, we have a motion by Barb and a second by David. Okay, roll call vote.
Barbara Hill. Chad Selenite.
No.
Stuart Ward.
Yes.
David Evans.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-1. Okay, next on the agenda, items of interest. Staff?
I have no items of interest at this time, other than, I take that back, on the 19th, we have 2 items which are business items, and nothing else,
Just 2 business items?
just 2 business items.
It's gonna be a nice meeting. Okay. No citizen comment tonight, because there's nobody here, so, okay, we'll adjourn.